The headlines: St. Lucie is to be the site for a youth farming school. Water Authority workers remain off the job even though the Labour Minister begins conciliation talks. And the Bajan swimmer sets the record in early going at CARIFTA swimming. Welcome to Nation News for Tuesday, March the 22nd, 2016. Thanks so much for joining us. It is said that Bajan youths don't like farming. Well, that view is going to be put to the test by an agricultural institute that's to be set up on 45 acres of land at the Hope in St. Lucie. Deputy Principal of the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic, Ian Drakes, said plans are at an advanced stage. The project will involve both the Polytechnic and the community college. Speaking during an agricultural open day at the Polytechnic, Mr. Drakes said the academy, which will be backed by China, will teach the rearing of livestock and agro-processing.
They had a team down here early January for 25 days, which were looking at all of the architectural structure, all of the landscaping structure, all of the pens, and all of what will be needed for everything in terms of from horticulture, agriculture, right through at that whole project. So it will be the institution of agriculture as such that's being coined as such for Barbados.
Mr. Drake said provision will be made for about 24 people to live at the site. He said ground will be broken in another year or so. Water Authority employees are still on strike even though Labour Minister Senator Esther Bayasuku met with officials from the Barbados Workers Union for just over an hour earlier as she began efforts to conciliate in a pay dispute. Union boss Tony Moore said industrial action would not be called off simply because the minister had allowed the workers to state their case. The union is contending the authority is not honouring an agreement made 10 years ago on increments.
What we have done, therefore, for the last few minutes in that meeting was to clearly articulate this union's position, reiterating that while the subject of discussion over a 10-year period has been about increments, the action taken by the Executive Council of the Barbados Workers Union relates less to increments and more to the issue of disrespect by the Barbados Water Authority and its continued insistence on dishonoring agreements which it has made over time.
Water Authority workers have been off the job since last Wednesday. The minister also was due to meet with Water Authority officials before bringing both parties together for negotiations. The Court of Appeal has reserved its judgment without setting a date for delivering it in the case of the appeal of suspended Police Chief Darwin Dottin. Mr. Dottin, who will be 66 in May, was sent on administrative leave 3 years ago as a move was apparently afoot to send him into retirement. He is appealing the decision in a case brought against the Police Service Commission and the Governor General. Mr. Dottin's legal team have called for his reinstatement, charging that there is no concept of administrative leave in the laws of Barbados. They also argue that the Governor General does not have the authority to send home anyone. Science, literacy and black history were featured at St. Mary's Primary School on Monday. The students displayed their work on living things, magnetism and the state of matter, and also learned about Elijah McCoy, a Canadian-American inventor of African descent. Reading specialist at the city school, Shelly-Ann Devonish, said the aim was to show how literacy helps make ordinary people great.
We wanted the children to understand that despite your circumstances, in spite of whether or not you begin great, you don't just begin great, you don't just wake up one morning and you're a scientist. It's the basic skills that you learn that help you to come up with ideas to become great. And when you look at Elijah McCoy's background, because he was black, he was not able to practice being an engineer. Even though he trained to be an engineer, he was not able to practice being an engineer. All he was allowed to do was oil the engines of the trains. But it was while oiling the engines of the trains that he came up with this great idea for a device that could do that automatically. And from there, that is how he was able to become great.
Research by scientists on the Barbados Sparrow suggests that birds living in city environments are smarter than birds from rural environments. The work was conducted at the McGill Bellairs Institute in St. James using local sparrows, known elsewhere as bullfinches. The researchers found that birds that live in the city are not only better at problem-solving tasks, they also have better immunity than their rural counterparts. Tasks included putting the birds in cages and testing their ability to open drawers to access food, as well as how bold or confident they were with human researchers. The study has been described as the first to find clear cognitive differences in birds from different environments. Researcher Jean-Nicolas Audet said the findings were somewhat surprising. The St. James Anglican Church Choir has won the inaugural singing competition named in honor of gospel music legend Joseph Niles. The sing-off took place last weekend at the Western Light Church of the Nazarene. Organizer, the NP for St. James Central, Kelly Simmons, said the country is filled with talent which should be showcased. Up next is Carol Martindale with this week's commentary on the maintenance of Transport Board buses.
News that a Transport Board bus began smoking and then burst into flames along the garrison cannot sit well with commuters. Thousands of people rely on the government-operated system to get to their respective destinations daily. Passengers may be willing to put up with poor service and late buses, and they do. But everyone wants peace of mind when they're traveling, and no one wants to be worrying if a bus will burst into flames. There is no doubt there is a shortage of Transport Board buses, but routine maintenance must be built into the operating system so commuters can feel safe. They must know in their minds that the brakes are good, engine and tires are sound, and they can get to their destinations safely.
In sport, Barbadian McCallum Clark set the first record at the CARIFTA Swimming Championships, which have begun in Martinique. Clark clocked 2 minutes 37.82 seconds in the heats of the 11 to 12 boys 200 meters breaststroke. He was one of several Barbadians advancing to the finals. In football, Captain Emmerson Boyce is upbeat as Barbados prepare to face Curaçao on Wednesday in a first-round Caribbean Cup fixture. The match gives the Tridents the first opportunity to banish the embarrassment of exiting Olympic qualifying because of a procedural error. The squad has been boosted by the inclusion of US-based goalkeeper Kiesel Broom. Of interest to football fans is that the Curaçao team is coached by Patrick Kluivert, the former Dutch player whose mother is from the island. Kickoff time, by the way, is 8 p.m. at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex.
Yeah, no, excited. Obviously, last game we played, we showed you how good that we can be. Hopefully, we can carry on that progress. Curaçao is going to be a very tough game for us, but no, we're confident we've got a good bunch of young talent there. Everyone wants to show how good they are, and hopefully we can get a good result on the night.
And finally, if you ever wondered why you tend to close your eyes when kissing, when you ought really to be looking into your partner's eyes, psychologists apparently have the answer. They said people close their eyes while kissing to allow the brain to properly focus on the task in hand. A study on vision and tactile sensory experience at Holloway University of London concluded the brain finds it difficult to process another sense while also concentrating on the visual stimuli. It's as simple as that. Now, open your eyes. And that's Nation News for Tuesday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And remember to pick up your Midweek Nation on Wednesday or subscribe to our e-paper.